This is a full tutorial guide for your Zhiyun WEEBILL 3S. Hello and welcome to a new tutorial. Before we start, bear in mind that these tutorials usually take a couple of days of my life and I'm making this for you. So the least you can do is hit the subscribe button right now and support my channel. Because you wouldn't call a plumber to fix your kitchen, right? And then send him out without paying. And also hitting subscribe is free, so there's nothing you can lose. Let's get started. There's a few timestamps in the description tab if you want to jump and skip to a specific subject. In your bag, you will have received a tripod and the gimbal, of course. We're gonna attach the two together. Under your gimbal, you have a 1/4 inch screw thread. You take your tripod and you simply screw it in. Then you open the tripod, 1, 2, 3, you place it somewhere, and we're going to understand how to charge it. With the gimbal, you will have a bag full of cables. We're gonna leave all behind for now, but we're gonna only take the USB to USB-C. Big connector on one side, the small USB-C on the other side. Now the front of the gimbal is the one with the wheel here and the trigger. On the left hand side of the gimbal now, we have a USB-C port with an icon that reminds of a lightning. We place the USB-C, we insert it in there, and we connect the USB to your socket. Of course, we can use also a power bank. So I connect my USB to the power bank and have a look at the monitor. As soon as I plug them in, the battery icon is showing up on my monitor. You will see the battery level going up. You actually have 4 different stripes filling in a battery icon. When the 4 stripes are not moving anymore, it means the gimbal is completely charged. We can now unplug the USB-C from the gimbal. Charging time is 2 hours. The running time, it will be more or less 11 hours. We're now going to learn how to lock and unlock the different axes and arms of the gimbal. When you receive it, it will be completely locked. You will find 3 different locks around the gimbal. One is on the pan axis, one it's under the roll axis here, and one will be here on the tilt axis. To lock or unlock these arms, you simply pull down or up your button, and you will see next to each lock there's actually a lock icon, so very easy to recognize. Let's understand how to mount and balance your camera on top of your gimbal. In terms of lenses, I can't test it with all the lenses out there or all the different cameras, so get in touch with Zhiyun or go on the Zhiyun website where you will find a list of the equipment that the Zhiyun WEEBILL 3S can actually support. Then if you need to add anything else to your camera, it's time to do it now. If you want a receiver for a microphone, if you want to add a filter, it's time to do it now, because every little difference in terms of weight will change completely the balance of your camera on the gimbal. Also, if you have a zoom lens, you need to choose the focal length now. Stronger gimbals can actually support when you change the zoom of a lens, but I'm not sure about this gimbal yet. So I definitely recommend to choose your focal length right now before balancing. What we're going to do next, we're going to check our locks that we've seen before. We're going to keep the pan axis locked as it is. So the one at the bottom is going to stay as it is, but we're going to unlock the roll axis, which is up here. So simply push down your lock here, your button, and you want to spin this arm now and pull your lock up again. So your arm should stay now in an horizontal position. You want to make sure that the text on this arm is upright, so it's properly readable. What we're going to do next is to unlock also the tilt axis right here. Push down, the arm will work as a pendulum right now, and we actually leave it unlocked because that's the first arm we are going to balance. We need another few tools that came with the gimbal before we carry on. The small plate, the bigger plate here. We will need also the lens holder and the screws. These come in a small sachet. This gimbal is able to support your camera in landscape mode, but also in portrait mode. So horizontal or vertical for social media. And once again, I always recommend to film in landscape anyway. Don't bother with the portrait. What you can do is to film in 4K with some wider frame, so a wider angle, and you can always crop in a vertical way in post-production. Because if you film already in portrait, you won't be able really to adapt it into a landscape frame. We're going to take the small plate and one of the small screws that come in this sachet. You will see a gap here in the plate where you have the tag Zhiyun here on the plate. The gap here has a slightly bigger hole on this side. So you want to put the screw from the back to this side of the gap and screw it in. And it will pop up on the other side. Just screw it all the way. You can now take the Allen key that was in the same little bag and you screw your plate under the camera. What I do is to make sure that the end of the plate is at the same level with my camera, with the bottom of my camera. So it will be literally here. It's not too high, not too low. This is my choice. So it's the same level there. And there you go. Make sure it stays in place and it's in a line with your lens basically. That's done for now. We take the bigger plate and we got 2 screws left in the sachet, which are exactly the same as the one that we put under the camera. We do the same thing at the bottom of the gap where you've got the tag. This space will be slightly bigger than the other side. You take the 2 screws and you screw the first all the way, move it up a little. You insert the second screw through the same gap. There you go. Now you have 2 screws sliding in this plate. Now the front of your plate again is this part of the plate will be facing forward, also because we need to attach the lens holder right there. You will find a hole, another screw thread in the front, and with the last screw we have in the bag, slightly bigger, we got through the holder, through the hole in the front, and we attach the 2 together. Right, get in there guys. We now need to attach the big plate under the smaller one. Now the 2 screws on the bigger plate will go exactly in these threads under the small plate under your camera. If the lens holder is too high, as in my case right now, which is keeping my camera up, I'm going to unscrew it and slide it down and screw it back in. Or you can also do this after, once you actually screwed the screws underneath the plate. Make sure the 2 screws matches with the plate, the small plate. There you go. I'm going to screw them in with the Allen key. Before I tighten them up, I do the same thing I did before. I make sure that this bigger plate now is in a line with the small plate and with the monitor of my camera. When I'm happy, I screw them in. All right. Now you can actually slide and reposition your lens holder. This is actually quite useless because my lens is too small, so if it's your case, you can simply remove it. But if you have a bigger lens, like a zoom lens, then that's how you do it. Next step, you might have received your gimbal with this mount already on top of your gimbal. It will be here. I'm going to show you how to mount it. If you haven't, let's put it together. You have a rail here. You want to take the mount. You will have a couple of texts that say lock. This text should face you, and simply the rail has to go through this gap underneath the mount. Sliding in there. All right, let's keep it loose for now because we want to balance the camera and see how that works. What we're gonna do now is to slide the big plate through this gap right here, and we're gonna slide it from the front. You will hear a click, and now you are able to slide back and forward your plate over the mount. If you're not able to do so, you probably have a lock locked in. That lock I'm talking about is this. So there's a lever that you can pull left to right. Make sure you follow the arrows and unlock it first, and that will allow you to move the camera back and forth. At this point of the tutorial, I have to remind you to hit the subscribe button. If you learned something new, if I helped you so far, hit it right now. It will help me big time. As you're holding the camera, make sure the camera is now against this motor here. Don't leave any gap, but move it as close as possible. Once you've done that, we are gonna lock this movement from left and right. Now it's hard to show you here, but there's another lock text at the back of this plate, and we want to lock that in so the camera won't be able to move left to right anymore. It will only slide front to back. Right, as I mentioned, this is the very first arm we're going to balance. The first thing we want to do is to find the spot where the camera is staying stable. If you can see, if I pull the camera forward, it will drop forward. If it's too back, it will fall back. You want to find the spot where it stays there. That's my spot. When you have found it, that's where we're going to lock the second lock here at the back of the plate. Right, we need to do something else before we finish to balance this arm. Balancing a gimbal is nothing easy, guys. Like it can take a lot of time if you don't know what you're doing. So on the right hand side of the gimbal now, we have another lever right here at the bottom of the arm. You want to unlock it, and now you will be able to move your camera up and down through this arm. What we want to do is to place the camera facing up, and once again we want to find the spot where the camera holds the position. So right now it's back heavy, you can see. So do it step by step. You will have the measurements here on the arm. Make sure you kind of follow them, and you can write them down if you use the same kit the next time. This is quite nice. I'm gonna lock it as soon as I find the spot with the same lever. There you go, I found my spot. We're now moving to the roll axis, which is this one at the back. We need to undo something we have done before. Here at the back of the plate, you have two locks. The one on the right hand side need to be unlocked, so we are able to slide the camera from left to right. Okay, do that. The next thing is to unlock the roll axis, which is this one at the back. You just pull your button down and hold your camera because it will move. There you go. It's completely unbalanced. Now we want to slide the camera left and right until it stays in position again and it's balanced. Step by step, simply move your camera left and right on this rail there. Find that sweet spot where the roll axis is balanced. This is how the roll axis is being balanced. So what I'm gonna do is to lock again this lock at the back of the plate that we just unlocked. And once again, you want to place your camera in any position, literally any, and the gimbal should stay there, and also your camera should hold the position. This is actually really nicely balanced. There you go. I can do whatever, the camera will stay. Last but not the least, we have one arm to go. Woo! We're talking about the pan axis. We've got another lock right here. Let's pull it up and let's unlock it. And now you can actually hold the gimbal and try to pan your hand left and right. It's still very unbalanced. On this side of the gimbal, right hand side, there's another lever right on the pan axis. We unlock it. And now we're able to move this arm forward or backward. It's still not properly balanced. It's balanced when you're able to move your hand and the camera will keep facing the same position. So I think I need to slide it backward. There you go. I think I found my spot. Here it is. So you want to, again, slide back and forth until you find that, and this is really nice for me. You see, it's very stable. That's how you balance your camera in landscape mode. If you want to do portrait mode, let's check it out. You want to have your gimbal off Remember the two locks here? The one on the right hand side, we're going to unlock it. And now you will be able to move the camera left and right again. Through here, you have the silver dot that you want to press, hold it, and slide your camera out of the rail. You will notice this clamp right here. He has a lever as well. You want to loosen it up. What I'm going to do is to lock all the axes once again and pull them up. Even this. You want to place your camera in a vertical position. The clamp should be at the bottom now, and it will slide through the same rail, through there. You want to have the mount again close to the motor for now, and then you repeat everything we've done so far for the landscape mode. For the purpose of the tutorial, I'll keep going with the landscape mode. Next, we're going to learn how to turn on and off the stabilizer. On the right hand side of your gimbal, you will have a power button. It literally says it. You want to hold it and have a look at the monitor right there. Monitor will be on, and now you will be able to choose the language. With this wheel on the right hand side, there's a tiny wheel. You will be able to go up and down through the menu. So choose your language and press the wheel as well now to confirm. There you go. Simple as that. To turn it off, you simply press and hold the power button again. And the light will be off as well. We're going to check how to charge your camera through the gimbal, because that's something you can do. Of course, you have a built-in battery here in the handle of the gimbal. You want to get your multi-connection cable for your Sony cameras. Guys, I'm talking about Sony cameras. On your camera, it will say multi. So the port is literally multi, which is on my A7R3, the one at the bottom right there. And your cable will go into a USB-C. At the back of your gimbal, right there, you have a yellow port. You want to connect the USB-C in that port. Before we connect the other extremity, I go to my menu in my camera, go to the settings, setup number 4, menu number 4, page 4 out of 7, again that's for my camera. You go to USB connection and I choose PC remote because that's the one that gives me less troubles. In USB LUN setting, I choose single and USB power supply on. Once I've done that, I connect the multifunction cable here in the multi-port of the camera. And as soon as I do that, you will get an icon on the camera saying that the camera is actually charging through the gimbal. Bear in mind, if you add a cable, of course, you might need to rebalance slightly your gimbal. Nothing really is really affected at the moment because it's very light, but keep it in mind. How to operate the gimbal with the standard modes. On the gimbal itself, on the handle left hand side, you will find an M button. That stands for mode. I will start with PF, which means pan follow. So panning is when you go left to right, and if you do so with your hand, the camera will follow your movement from left to right, but nothing will happen if I tilt the gimbal. To change the mode, you press the M button once. We will go now to lock mode. Lock mode means all the axes are locked. As you can see, the camera is not moving anywhere in any direction. We press it once again. We go to follow mode. Follow mode follows all the axes, whatever I do. So if I tilt up, the camera will tilt down, left and right. If I hold the M button, the gimbal will go to sleep, and you will see a funny icon of the gimbal going to sleep. So it's literally in pose, it's kind of dead. To activate it again, you press M and it will go back into place. Now if we double press quickly the M button, we will go in POV mode. POV will free the 3 axes and we will be able also to move diagonally. As you can see, the camera is going diagonally as well. So it's very handy when you do sport and when you want to have quick change of directions. To access the notorious vortex mode, so we double press the M button to go into POV, and we'll double press it again, and the camera will go into an horizontal position. And now with the joystick, which I'm going to show you next, you simply rotate your camera and you will achieve the vortex effect. Then you stop it and you press M once again, and you go back into your normal modes. We mentioned the joystick. There it is. It's a great way to operate your gimbal. If you go up, the camera will go up, down, left, and right. Very straightforward. Now let's say we have the gimbal in a particular position and quickly we want to go to the default position. There's a trigger at the front of the gimbal. We double press it, and there you go, your gimbal is in the default position. If we triple press the trigger, 1, 2, 3, we will go in selfie mode, ready for vlogging. To go back to the front, you press it 3 times again. On the right hand side, we will have under the power button the menu button. You will find all the different settings, different advanced mode as well, and you can scroll through the menu with this wheel on its side. You simply want to go up and down, and when you decide to change the settings, you click on the wheel and you will actually choose. To go back, you press the menu button, you will go back 1 step. You can also customize the buttons if you wanted to, like the trigger, you can give different action to each button, so that's completely up to you, and I leave it to you. Right here, the trajectory, so you can give a trajectory to your gimbal within a certain amount of time. And now let's get out of the menu. We keep pressing it until we go back to the modes here in the monitor. The little wheel that allows us to go through the menu is actually the button to turn the light on, because we have a built-in light in the front of the gimbal. To turn this light on, we press and hold the wheel. There you go, super powerful. This is a bicolor light. To change the intensity of it, you simply scroll the wheel up and down. To change the color, you press once and then you use the wheel as well to go from yellow to a bluish temperature. To turn it off, of course, you press and hold the wheel. We have another wheel at the front, a bigger wheel. If we scroll it, we will actually use the roll axis of the gimbal, but this is customizable as well. If your horizon is off, double press the trigger and you will go back into position. That's simply how you operate your gimbal from the gimbal itself. Next thing is the handle and the wrist rester. We haven't checked this yet, so let's go back from scratch. We're gonna turn the gimbal off, and we're also taking the tripod off. So we unscrew that because that goes under your gimbal. Now this is the handle. It actually comes with a plate which is already mounted. There's another lock, there's locks everywhere. We want to unlock this lever, which it will allow us to remove this plate from the mount. If it doesn't come off, there's a button underneath here which is black. You press it and you slide your mount out. What we're gonna do simply is to screw this plate under the gimbal. We have 3 threads, of course 2 will match right there. You can screw them in with the usual Allen key. Once we've done that, we're going to screw the tripod under the handle. There's another 1/4 inch thread over there. Just screw it in. This will help us to keep the tripod up. We open it, so it's going to be nice and steady. And now we are going to slide the handle through the mount here, like so. And it will click. And of course we are going to lock it into place. So the same lock we have used before, which is here. This lever needs to be locked. and you can use this side handle for two hands operation. If the wrist rester is not comfortable enough, you want to have it higher, you use this wheel in the front. You can adjust it as comfortable as you want to. One extra thing you can do with the handle is to use the gimbal in a sling mode, which means upside down. If you're not happy with this, you unlock the handle with this lever. Now you will be able to rotate and spin the handle. Then you want to lock it again, and now you could literally keep your gimbal for those low angle shots. What's left is to check the Zhiyun app. What you want to do is to go on the iStore or the Google Store. You go in the search tab and you search for Zhiyun Play. You click on install and you install it. After you've done that, you go into your apps and go to the ZY Play app and open it up. You can scroll through the different devices here. You've got smartphones, gimbals, pro cameras, and so on. You want to go to the 4 Pro cameras. If you don't see your gimbal, your WEEBILL 3S right there, go to the top menu right here where the 3 lines are. You will open up this menu and you scroll down and select the WEEBILL 3S. So that's the one for me. I click on it and now you go to connect now. Make sure your Bluetooth and location are on. Let's try connect now. Activate location. See, it's asking for your location. Click on OK. Location is on. We go back to the app. Connect now. You need to allow the ZY Play via Bluetooth. And of course, you need to grant access to the camera while using the app. The app is now looking for my gimbal. There it is. I click on the connection icon. Device activation, you want to click on this gray button and turn it into orange. Click on next. And you want to confirm your email account. If you don't have an account, you need to create one and activate it. Completed. Now I can enter now. So right now I can actually upgrade the firmware. So if I go back to the main page here of the menu, you will see I have an upgrade of the app. You can just simply do that. Upgrade now. Download and upgrade. All right, my firmware is completed. Click on that and now we'll go back in connect now. Enter now. We are now inside the app. Very simple. You will have a joystick here at the bottom as well. Whatever you do with the joystick, the gimbal will react. So if you go left and right or up and down, that's how it works. This curve will be your roll axis. Same of the wheel in front of the gimbal. If you press on the tiny camera here, there's a red camera. These are other options you can choose. So panoramic, time-lapse, and trajectory. You can go to panoramic and add different key points. So you want to move your gimbal, for example, in the first position right there. Add a waypoint. You move the gimbal to a second position. Add a waypoint again and a third position and press start recording. Of course, you need to press rec on your camera if you're not connected via Bluetooth. And now the gimbal will start following that trajectory. Make sure your Bluetooth icon here is blue to make sure that you can actually control the gimbal via the app. So that's all for this tutorial about the Zhiyun WEEBILL 3S. I hope it's been helpful. Once again, hit subscribe. It's gonna mean a lot for me. Don't be that guy. Don't go away without hitting subscribe and the like button. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the gimbal.